Is there something that you have really wanted to see a change in your life, something you really need a turnaround in, but things have not worked out? You have tried praying, you've tried praising, you've done everything that you can, but the situation doesn't seem to go away. Well, tell you what, you could now employ one of the mysteries in the Bible, that is giving a sacrifice. A sacrifice in the Bible is seen as a way to atone for sin, both intentional and unintentional. It is seen as a way to give the Lord whatever He requires of you in terms of your time, in terms of your possessions, and in terms of your energy. God asked for sacrifices in the Bible. But even before that, He Himself gave a demonstration of sacrifice by giving out His only Son. Romans 3:25, God presented Christ as a sacrifice of atonement through the shedding of blood to be received by faith. God asks for sacrifices as a demonstration of faith. When you read from the book of Genesis 22:1 all the way to 19, you will get to know how God asked Abraham for a sacrifice of his own son, Isaac. But he later sends a messenger to stop him. And what does he say? Now I know that you fear me. It's all that God wanted. He always wants to find out where your faith is. Do you believe in Him? Do you believe He can take care of your situation? But you've got to show it to Him that every other thing else does not, bother you. You're not worried about even going through what would look like a loss in the eyes of people. But in the eyes of God, it is a total gain. And what used to happen when those sacrifices are given, God would step into a situation. There's several sacrifices in the Bible, about Elijah's sacrifice to God after failed sacrifices to Baal. You also know how Jesus told His disciples how a widow who gave 2 coins to the temple treasury actually gave more than anyone else. Sacrifices allows God to look into your heart. You can have rich people give, so much, but they have so much more that they're not giving. And then you, who doesn't have much, have almost given your all. And God knows now this is someone who does not worship anything else. We're usually caught up, especially when it comes to money. Sometimes God can just look at your heart. How exactly are you giving? Are you a giver where it is needed? And giving is not just about church only. It's about you representing God in the best possible way. God is about loving. And when you are able to show God's love by going that extra mile, God will also give you something beyond the ordinary. I could give you several instances when I've had to, sacrifice, and God has shown Himself up for me in ways that I cannot even describe. One time I was going to the supermarket to buy something, and on my way I met this woman, and some women told me, hey, she wants to go to the chemist. Are you going that direction? Could you show her, where to get those drugs? And I could see that she was coming from a public hospital because she had that book that shows that. And I showed her the way to the chemist, and something told me, just stay here and get to see how she buys this, and she had a very sick baby. And so when she asked about the drugs and she was told about the drugs, she could not afford them. And then she started looking for numbers that she could call, some relatives, to get to ask for money that she could, buy the drugs that she needed. And I just felt it in my heart, don't let her ask other people. You're right here. Pay it for her. And I didn't have much money myself because I had just, a little to go and buy some supplies, which I really needed, But here I was going to buy some supplies, yes. But here was a child who was very sick, And I just felt, let us save the life of this child first. So we bought the drugs. And she was so grateful. I mean, we didn't know each other. She was just a stranger. And this is why she even saw God faster. Because, it was not like it was her right to get this, I was a total stranger. I was just showing her direction. And then here I am paying. And they were very expensive drugs. And she was like, oh my God, I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. It's good that, it's God who brought you along my way. And I was like, wow, I just thank God that she's able to see God through me. And out of that, I paid that. But later on, when we had a parents' day at my child's school, and we were talking about the balances that people are having, and I stood to talk on of course my own behalf, and asked that they give us a little more time because some of us probably have more children to pay for, and we were actually just asking that they could allow us to pay in bits sometimes, and after talking and perhaps resonating with several parents, it was passed that could actually be done. But at the end of that meeting, I was called by the board and told, what, someone in the crowd just decided to pay the terms fee for at least one of your children. I was like, what? Can I know the person? Incidentally, they wanted to be anonymous, but later on I was shown who they were. And they just decided, out of a good heart. Have you ever heard about that? In a parents' meeting, somebody just decides to pay school fees for your child. That is like out of ordinary. But it was out of the sacrifice that went into buying medicine for that child. Let me give you another one. One time I did not have children, and I was actually called barren and all that. And it was a really difficult time for me. Whatever relationship I was in ended because of this. And just while I was trying to, get over it, which was very difficult, I remember in the house, I was the things that I was left with. I had decided I'm going to move out, so that I can start a new life and not remember all these things. And then in my mind, I thought there was this radio station that was just starting off in the town that I was living in. And they were just about to bring in their furniture. And I went to that place and I told them, hey, you know what? How about I give you furniture so you don't have to buy? And they said, really? I said, yes, just give me a canter. Let's go to my house and let me give you stuff. So it was actually a Christian radio station. And we went to my place, we got all the furniture and brought to this place. And the owner was not there. So he was called and he was told, there's a woman here who's brought the furniture that we need, and they're expensive, man. We just want you to communicate with her. So he sends a mail, and I remember it was this Radio Fish FM, and the man behind it sent me a message. He is actually called Ruben Kigamaya. He sent me a message by mail, and he said, thank you so much. I hear that you've given us, very expensive furniture. I don't know what's going on in your life, but we'd like to say thank you. What I will ask God for is, now that you've given us expensive things, may God give you what money cannot buy. At that time, I could not even think of what this thing God could give me that money could not buy, because I had the money, to buy whatever it is that I needed. It's only children that I could not have. So anyway, first things for my life went on. I got out of that city and went elsewhere, started a new life and all that. 7 years later, there was something that I was doing, and then I had to host Ruben. And I was like, wow. I looked back and I realized I had 3 children at that time. When he said that God needs to give me something that money cannot buy, I did not even think I could get kids, in that manner. But here I was, at the time when I was going to host him, I then thought about it and I was like, oh my goodness, he prayed this for me. And now I had 3 kids at that time. What am I saying? Sometimes you go that extra mile. Do something out of the ordinary. Find out who needs help. Someone who is in between jobs has not paid their rent or something. Help. Do something. I mean, they could just be asking you for little money for food here and there and all that, but ask them what are the issues. Clearly they're asking you for food, but they don't have rent, they don't have that. Sometimes you just find God moving you and telling you, you know what, go pay their rent, at least for the month, or 2 months, or 3 months, until they get something. You don't have to help until they get something, but at least when you help, maybe a month or two, you've helped somewhere, you know. But the biggest sacrifice that God wants from you is in Romans 12, 1-2, that says, "Therefore I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." As you go ahead and sacrifice, as you go ahead and help somebody who has nothing, we're heading towards December. It's actually coming to the end of the year. Find out even some children's home that needs, help. Those are children who, number one, they don't have parents, so they just need some love. Show God's love. Get into your wardrobe. There's so many clothes that still look good. You're not using them anymore. Give them out to someone. Help out in every way. God is just asking for your time. God is asking for your energy, something, your possession. And when you give it out, and it's going out for a great cause, and it's going to help somebody's life, it demonstrates God's love, and He will do something amazing in your life. Whatever it is that has been a problem, whatever it is that has not been going away, you've been around that mountain for too long. Now, with your faith, see that problem removed. Identify what sacrifice you're going to give, whether it's by money, whether it's by time, just going to help someone who is in need. Find out, give that sacrifice, and see that turnaround come to your life.